I'm actually ready. So nice to see you guys again. Welcome to day number 2 of our 3-day Equinox challenge. Today is, of course, such a very special day because today is the actual equinox. So, first and foremost, happy equinox to everybody. Just to confirm before we start, can you hear me well? Okay, cool. I just saw somebody in the chat say, so I was worried. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So happy equinox to everybody. It's such a special date today. And of course, today is the day where we prepared such a special activity for you guys during this challenge. We're going to be joined by Tata Alberto. In a few moments, he's going to be here and we're going to start to do a really beautiful practice that he has prepared for you in order to receive the energy of the equinox. And I don't know if you guys remember from yesterday, but the way that I always like to start any meeting, any activity, any class, any session, or anything like that is with a little bit of an invocation, just to kind of open up the space, to set the intentions. Today is such a special day because the equinox represents so many important things. And I'm going to get deeper into that in a few moments. Before I introduce Tata Alberto, I'll just explain briefly the meaning of the equinox in the Maya tradition. But I can already tell you, as you're getting ready to set intentions, that one of the important meanings specifically of this equinox, because different equinoxes and different solstices throughout the years have different meanings, but the meaning of this specific one that we're going through today on the 20th of March is about transmuting from the darkness into the light, moving from the darkness into the light. So I just wanted to tell you that. So because now that we're going to set intentions and do the little invocation, I thought maybe that's one of the intentions that you guys might want to keep in your heart and keep in your mind. So I'm going to share a slide with the invocation. I don't know if you guys remember that one from yesterday. You don't have to do anything special. You can do whatever you feel like doing. As you can see, it's being shared on screen right now, so you can feel free to read it out loud for yourself as well, or you can do your own version of setting intentions or doing an invocation, whatever you feel comfortable with. The important thing is kind of just to open up your heart, to open up your mind. And as you're doing that, I'm going to be reading this one out loud, and then we're officially going to kick off the meeting and get started with today's practices. So take a moment, take a deep breath, and we're going to get started with this one. Okay. So, at this moment, before beginning this conversation, we want to take some time to remember our creators and makers. Alom, Cajolom, Sakol, Vitol, Tepeo, Gukumats, and show them our gratitude for giving us the gift that is life. We say, Matioshukushkach, Matioshukushuleu, heart of the sky, heart of the earth. Thank you to the energies of the 4 directions of the universe, the 4 elements, the 4 colors of corn, as well as their guardians. We especially call upon the energy of the word so that all of the words that are shared here can be flourishing and help us connect to one another. We ask this energy that the words we put out with our voices are caring and of value to the world. Okay. Thank you guys for listening and taking the time. And now we're officially going to kick it off. So before having Tata Alberto get started with the practice, we just wanted to do a little bit of an introduction just to give you a little bit more context on what's the meaning of the equinox, like why are we here today celebrating this special date. So I prepared a little slide for you guys just to share with you a little bit of like the importance of some of the dates in the specific calendar that the equinox is a part of. So as I mentioned yesterday, if you were able to join us yesterday, there are many different Maya calendars that the Maya utilize to keep track of time, energy, the cycles of nature, the cycles of the earth, the cycles of different planets, the cycles of the moon. There's all kinds of different calendars that have different purposes and measure different things. Equinox and solstices are celebrated within a very specific calendar, which is the Av calendar. The Av calendar, if we can translate it in a way, it's easy to remember because it's the solar calendar. In a way, this one is the simplest one for everybody here to understand because the other calendars are probably unfamiliar to many of you and they track different types of cycles, but the solar calendar tracks something very similar to what the Gregorian calendar tracks. It tracks the time, of course, that it takes for the Earth to go around the sun, right? So it's also a 365-day point, and I forgot this point 20 something, 20 something days calendar. So the Av is divided into a several different months, and every single one of those months has a meaning. Within the Av, we celebrate different events that happen. Amongst those events are super important ones: solstices, equinoxes, which is what we're celebrating today. We also have Wayev. Wayev is a very special month because the months of the Av calendar last 20 days, but Wayev is the shortest month of the year, is a month that lasts 5 days, is the month that comes right before the Av New Year, and is 5 days where people focus specifically on leaving behind all of the things that they don't want to bring with them into the new year. So it's 5 days of all kinds of practices. In Guatemala, everybody celebrates Guayab. You see all these Mayan fire ceremonies happening. You see all these people doing all these practices of forgiveness, of, thinking about what happened during their year, resolving conflict before they enter the new year. So it's a very sacred time of the year. Then we have the actual solar new year, which always happens around February if you're looking at it from the perspective of the Gregorian calendar. Then we have the Zenith sun, we have the Nadir sun. So there's many different special things that happen in the Av calendar. But of course, today, what we're going to be focusing on is in the equinox. And so let me explain to you a little bit about the solstices and the equinoxes for a few moments, just so that you have context. So solstices and equinoxes, and I'm going to stop sharing the slide now for a second so you can see me. Solstices and equinoxes are very special times of the year. During one year, we have two solstices and we have two equinoxes. They all happen with 90 days of separation from each. The first event of the year is the one that's happening today, this 20th of March, is the equinox. Then in 90 days from now, we're going to have the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, because right now for us in the northern hemisphere, we have the spring equinox. If you're in the southern hemisphere, for you is not the spring equinox, right? Is the autumn or the fall equinox. But I'll just say it in the northern hemisphere because that's what I'm used to. So in the northern hemisphere today, we celebrate the spring equinox. 90 days from now, we're going to be celebrating the summer solstice. 90 days after the summer solstice, we're going to be celebrating the fall equinox. And 90 days after the fall equinox, we're going to be celebrating the winter solstice, which happens on the 21st of December. So 90 days ago was the 21st of December, and we celebrated the winter solstice. In the Maya tradition, the equinoxes and solstices are not just a changing of the seasons. Of course, they are also a changing of the seasons. They mark the new weather, the new season that's going to come. If you're in the northern hemisphere, lucky you, because now spring is starting, which is a beautiful time of the year. And basically, what that represents is a few different things, not only physically, not only is it about the season or about the weather, but for the Maya, this also represents something really important that happens energetically. The Maya guide themselves by cycles. All of their calendars are very cyclical. And different cycles have different meanings, they have different energies and different things that we're supposed to be focusing on. So what happened on the 21st of December during the winter solstice? Well, for us in the northern hemisphere, we entered winter, right? And winter in the Maya tradition, the winter solstice marks the beginning of something really important. During winter, as you know, the night is longer than the day. The Maya have all of this tradition of the importance of duality, the importance of the light and the darkness, the masculine, the feminine, the right, the left, and so like the upper world and the underworld, there's all of these different representations of the importance of duality, right? And inside of us, in the Maya tradition, we all have duality as well. We all have light and darkness. We all have feminine and masculine energy inside of ourselves, regardless of our gender. We all have like all of this duality inside of us. Duality is not something that we only see in nature, for example, the day and the night, the sun and the moon, but also inside of us, that is reflected too. So during the winter solstice, we celebrated a new cycle, which is more about the night and is more about the darkness. And oh my gosh, for me personally, definitely, it was on point. What do I mean by that? Well, in the Maya tradition, the winter is a time where we're supposed to face more the darkness. The night is longer. The presence of the darkness is like stronger. The presence of the silence is stronger. There is a concept, which is the concept of Xibalbá. Xibalbá is the Mayan underworld, is the teacher that teaches us through difficulties. It's like how all of the painful moments, the difficult moments in our lives can actually teach us and make us stronger. And there's all these beautiful stories that I'll get to share after Tata Alberto about Xibalbá. But the winter solstice brought with it a time for us to do more self-reflection, to maybe take a look at the parts of ourselves that are not so pleasant to look at, the things that sometimes, which is according to the Maya, not a healthy thing to do, but sometimes we do it, right? We throw the things that we don't want to face under the rug and just pretend like they're not there. But the winter is a time that kind of brings them up energetically. So not only is a time where we should be conscious of actually paying attention to those things, but whether we like it or not, we will be faced with them, especially because this specific year, it was not only the winter solstice. We had a Cholquij New Year, we had an Av New Year, we had an eclipse, we had this set of trecenas, which I know you don't know what that means. Many of you might, and I can't explain it right now, but we had a lot of cycles and things and events and things that were happening that all had kind of like the same meaning, to face the darkness, to face the darkness. So if during the last few months you had like some situations where you saw yourself being triggered often, or the things that are difficult in your life came up more often, right? That's nothing bad. It's nothing to be scared of or to worry about. It was just the energy of that cycle. And you might think, oh, but that's a bad thing then. Well, no, it's not a bad thing. It was the cycle that was allowing us to actually be able to see and to heal those parts of us. Like a teacher of the Maya tradition told me once, Sulva, don't you know that for things to come out, they first have to come up for us to be able to heal them? And so Xibalbá is the energy that makes things come up. And whether we get triggered and react badly to those things, or we respond and ask ourselves, whoa, why do I always react in this way to these types of situations? What can I do to heal it? That's then your personal decision, right? But the winter brings you that opportunity. But now we're moving on to the spring equinox, which is such a great thing because now the day is no longer going to be longer than the night. No, I'm sorry, the opposite. The night is no longer going to be longer than the day, which is what happened during winter. Now the night and the day are going to last today the exact same amount of time. That's what the equinox marks. So now what this season that is coming up teaches us is to find the balance between the light and the darkness, to stand in the center like the bats do in the entrance of the cave, right? And they move between the light and the darkness, to stand in the center between the light and the darkness, to of course still continue to do introspection, to continue to like not ignore the darkness, but also to start inviting the light into our life. Like spring, it's like spring comes and like all the flowers start blooming. We finally go outside, have more fun, do more joyful stuff. So it's about starting to move from the darkness to the light and to take this as an opportunity. And today specifically is the opportunity to do that transition. My dad always told me, Sulva, prepare yourself because the days right before Maya New Year's and the days right before equinoxes and solstices are always very intense. So for the last 1, 2, 3 days, they might have been very intense for you, is because that's energetically what happens in the Maya tradition. Is like before you move on to the new cycle, is like the energy gives you the opportunity to just release everything so that you can start the new cycle kind of clean, let's say, with a clean slate. And so if that happened, then that's normal. It probably happened to a lot of people. It definitely happened to me. Let's see. But that's what we're celebrating today. And what a beautiful opportunity, right? Which is to get out of just the darkness and to actually find balance and to stand between the darkness and the light and to find the balance between the two things and to start inviting the light into our life a little bit more during the season. So that's what we're celebrating today. Personally, that's going to be my intentions for today's ceremony that we're going to do with Tata Alberto to allow me to go through that transition. And I invite you to also think, what are your petitions? What are your intentions? What do you want to achieve today as we're receiving the equinox? And now, finally, the time has arrived to welcome a super, super special guest. His name is Tata Alberto. He's an Arquij. Arquij means Maya spiritual leader, and he's from the Maya Cachiquel nation. And as you can see in the screen, they're already here. They're getting ready to prepare. They're preparing the materials for the Maya fire ceremony that we're going to have today. It's going to be a beautiful ceremony. Tata Alberto is one of the most incredible Maya spiritual leaders that I've had the honor to meet in my life. He has the craziest life story of how he ended up becoming a Maya spiritual leader. And the reason I love his wisdom so much is because different spiritual leaders often specialize in different areas. And his specialty in his like expertise, let's say, is how to harness the power of your own mind. I often make a joke at him. I don't know if you're familiar with Joe Dispenza, but I always joke that he's the Guatemalan Joe Dispenza because the way he started his journey is when he was young, he was working in as a trucker, and they would work at the farms and fill trucks with cotton and then drive that cotton from place to place. And one day he was loading the cotton onto the truck, and then another massive truck came, lost control of the brakes. It ran into the truck where he was in, and he flew, I forgot, like 10 meters, because he was standing on top of the truck loading cotton. So he just flew. He was unconscious. He woke up in the hospital to find out a horrible diagnosis, which was that he was now paraplegic and that he would never be able to walk again for the rest of his life. And that was really difficult for him. But as he was lying there for several months in the hospital bed and in public hospitals here in Guatemala, you don't have like a private room, but you share a room with many other patients. And he always tells this really funny story about this one man who was like his bed neighbor. And every night he would bother all of the different patients in the room, because every night he would just be complaining about how much pain he's in. And he would be like, oh, oh, oh. And everybody was like, shh, we're trying to sleep. And he, this guy, his bed neighbor, sorry, I, the saliva went down the wrong hole. I'm sorry. So his bed neighbor, you know, basically would call the nurse every night, and he would be like, nurse, nurse, please give me medicine, give me medicine. I'm in so much pain. I'm in so much pain. And every single night the nurse was like, sir, I'm sorry, I can't do that because the doctor has not approved this. I can't just give you medicine because I decided, like the doctor needs to leave me the instructions to inject you medicine, and I just can't do that. Anyways, days go by. And eventually, after all this time, the nurse also, is getting really tired of this guy. So one day she's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to inject you this really strong pain med so that you can finally go to sleep and stop bothering everybody. So you win, okay? I'm going to inject you this really strong pain meds. I already called the doctor. I insisted. So here you go. She gives him the injection. Literally 10, 15 minutes later, the guy is deep asleep and everyone can finally rest for the first time in days. Then the nurse comes to Tata Alberto and tells him, ha ha ha, I'll tell you a little funny secret. And he's like, what? And she was like, I injected nothing. It was saline solution. I just was so tired of him. And I just thought, you know what? I'll just fake inject him medicine so he finally leaves me alone and stops bothering me. And Adalberto was like, wait a second, but he actually stopped feeling pain even though you didn't give him medicine. And then every single night, the same thing started happening. She was not injecting him medicine, but every night he was like, oh, finally, sweet relief. I finally don't feel pain anymore. And Adalberto was like, wait, if this guy can stop feeling pain just with the power of his mind, just because he thinks he actually got medicine to take away the pain, can I actually heal myself and not be paraplegic? Anyways, long story short, well, he's walking right now, so obviously he's not paraplegic, right? He actually showed me his medical records once, and he's officially paraplegic, in his medical records, But look at him right now. Obviously, he's not, right? And so, he went through all of these experiences in his life that led him to reconnecting with his roots. His grandfather was also a Maya spiritual leader. And so he retook that path, for himself of like his roots and what his family was doing. And he just was so impressed with the power of the mind that that's the thing that he focuses on the most today when healing his patients, is how to harness the power of your own mind, and how the most powerful doctor for your body, for your emotions, for your mind is actually your own brain, and how can you actually utilize that power. And I'm obsessed with that. So you're in good hands right now. I'm going to remove myself a little bit so that you can see me in the big screen. And I'm going to ask Eline, the technical person, if she could maybe put the phone horizontal, Eline. Ah, pero tenés que desbloquear ¿cómo se llama? Para el como screen turn, porque no se está dando vuelta a vuelta, sorry. I just want you to see like the screen in a better way. Let's just figure this out. Si agarras tu celular y bajas la cosita y apachas el botón que es para que el celular se dé vuelta, para que ¿cómo se dice eso? Es que no sé cuál es el nombre, pero me entendiste. 1 second. Ajá, para rotar. Gracias, Maricruz. El botón para que te permite que el celular sí rote, entonces ahí sí vas a poder. Hola, Aline. That's my niece, Aline. She's the camera woman today. O sea, how do you explain this? Auto rotate is, I think, the name of the button, Aline. Ah, estás, perfecto, nítido. Buenísimo. Okay, cool. Okay, so now I'm gonna ask Elena to unmute herself, and we're officially gonna start. As I said yesterday, there was nothing that you had to bring, but if you did bring something, set it up, have it ready, because if you brought candles, soon you're gonna be able to light them. If you brought incense, soon you're gonna be able to use it, so just have it ready next to you. Perfecto. Hola, Tata. Aquí le saluda Zulbay.
Días.
Perdón, Eline, no escuchamos todavía el audio. Sorry, guys, we're having a couple of technical issues, but we're getting there.
Escúchale el audio.
A ver, prueba a hablar otra vez.
Escucha.
Oh, no, is it me who can't hear?
Solo
Dices, perdón. Okay, I have to disconnect.
el problema de eso.
Why I can't hear them. Huh? If you put your computer close to me, sorry, guys. I thought we had the technicalities figured out, but obviously we didn't. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna disconnect the podcast microphone. All right, 1 second.
Y le da un segundito que lo
Ahí
escuche.
está, ya está. Perdona, Alberto. Ahora sí ya los escucho. Okay, guys, the reason I couldn't hear is because I have like a podcast microphone, and as long as it's plugged in, it doesn't let me hear audio. So I just disconnected it and I hope my sound is still okay and you guys can still hear me clearly. Just let me know if you can still hear me clear enough. Okay, perfect. I hope the quality of the sound didn't decrease too much, but here we are. All right, thank you so much. Okay, so I just want to make sure everybody's ready to get started. So type yes in the chat if you're excited and if you are ready to get started with today's practice. So awesome. I see a lot of people are saying yes. Great. Okay. So ahora sí lo escucho a Alberto. ¿Qué tal está?
Ahora sí lo escucha.
Muy buenos días. ¿Me escucha?
Sí, lo escucho perfecto.
Muy bien. Bueno, muy bienvenidas y bienvenidos a los que estén conectados. Hoy en nuestro calendario maya nos indica que estamos en 4E.
Yes, so
4E.
welcome. Perdón. Welcome everybody who's connected to this meeting today. Today, according to the Maya Turkey calendar, we are being carried by the energy of 4E, which I just wrote down in the chat.
Nos indica también el camino del viento, el camino del abuelo sol, el camino de la galaxia y el caminar de nuestra madre tierra.
Today represents the path of the wind, the path of our grandfather sun, the path of the galaxy, and the path of our mother earth.
También nos indica que hoy, en este día especial que damos inicio a lo que es el equinoccio, significa que va a ser el día, igual noche.
Today, as we're welcoming the energy of the equinox, is going to be a day where the night and the day are going to be equally long.
Nuestra madre tierra también camina durante el año y dio inicio el 21 de diciembre.
Our mother earth also walks her path throughout the year, and the path that she walked towards the equinox started on the 21st of December.
90 días de diciembre para acá llegamos al equinoccio.
90
Otros
days from the
días,
21st of December to here, we arrived on the equinox.
90 días más llegamos a otro solsticio que será en junio.
In 90 days from today, we're going to arrive in a solstice, which will happen in June.
90 días más llegamos a otro equinoccio que será en septiembre.
90 days after that, we're going to arrive to another equinox, which will happen in September.
Y 90 días cerramos nuevamente ante solsticio en diciembre, el 21.
And 90 days after that, we're going to close the year with the solstice in December on the 21st.
Ahí se utiliza lo que es el calendario, el AB, el de la cuenta larga, de 365 días.
For this, we utilize the Av calendar, the long count of 365 days.
Y multiplicamos 4 por 90 nos da 360.
If we multiply 90 days times 4, that gives us 360 days.
5 días del Guayeb para completar el ciclo de los 365 días.
Plus 5 days of Wayev to complete the cycle of 365 days. And as you remember, Wayev is the shortest month of the year, as I mentioned.
Hoy en este día vamos a agradecer a través del sagrado fuego a nuestro Creador.
Today, through the sacred fire, we're going to say thank you to our Creator.
Y agradecemos también a la Madre Tierra por todas las bendiciones que nos da a través de el aire, el oxígeno y la vegetación, que son nuestros alimentos.
And we're also going to take the opportunity today to thank Mother Earth for everything she gives us, such as the air, the oxygen, and the food.
Lo que es el sagrado fuego, hemos puesto 6 colores de candelas. Las verdes significa la madre naturaleza, la azul significa el cosmos, y los 4 colores, rojo, blanco, negro y amarillo, son los 4 colores del sagrado maíz, que hay acá en el pueblo maya.
So in our fire today, we place different colored candles. The green ones represent Mother Earth, the blue ones represent the cosmos, and the four colors that are sacred represent the four colors of corn, the four colors of the four corners of the earth, and the four corners of the universe, which are the colors red, black, white, and yellow.
También esos cuatro colores representan a la humanidad en el planeta, porque vemos cuatro colores de seres humanos que habitamos nuestra madre tierra.
Those four colors also represent the humanity that lives all around this planet, because those four colors represent the four skin colors of the humanity and the people who live around Mother Earth.
De esta manera es como nuestras abuelas y nuestros abuelos agradecían a nuestro creador y formador, Jacob, Vitot, Alom, Cafolom. Y también se agradecía a la Madre Tierra, y ese es el legado de nosotros.
And it was in this way that for thousands of years, our ancestors would always show gratitude to our creators, Sakol, Bitol, Alom, Kaholom, as well as Mother Earth. And continuing to do this practice is the legacy that they left us.
Y con esto, pues voy a dar inicio a la ceremonia de esta mañana.
And with that introduction, I'm going to begin the ceremony of this morning.
Sakar Rukushikar, Sakar Rukushiler. Buenos días, corazón del cielo. Buenos días, corazón de la Madre Tierra.
Good morning, heart of the sky. Good morning, heart of the earth.
Sakari Bonotel, Katit, Kamoma, Rinai Katit, Rinai Kamoma, Ikaha Paluna, Chomija, Sununija, Kakishaha. Buenos días a las cuatro abuelas, la guardiana de las aguas pluviales, Cajapa Luna, de las aguas grandes, Chomja, de las aguas pequeñas, la abuela Tsununija, y las aguas termales, la abuela Kakishaha.
Good morning to the grandmothers of the four corners of the earth. The grandmother of the rain, Kahapa Luna, the grandmother of the big bodies of water, Chomija, the grandmother of, perdón, ¿quién era Sununija? Lo siento.
¿Ve?
De las aguas pequeñas.
The grandmother of the small bodies of water, Sununija, y Kakishaha. Era de, perdón.
Aguas termales, el agua caliente que está en el Madre Tierra.
And finally, Kakishaha, who's the grandmother that protects the, how do you say that in English? The thermal waters, like the warm water, you know? Yeah.
También damos la bienvenida a los cuatro abuelos, el del amanecer, Balam Kitse.
We also say welcome to the four grandfathers, the one of the sunrise, Balam Kitse,
El del anochecer, Balama Ab.
the guardian of the night, Balam Akab,
El de las aguas de la vida es el abuelo Balam Mahakutaj.
the one who guards the waters, the water of life, Balam Mahakutah,
Y el abuelo guardián del viento es el abuelo Balam.
and the grandfather who guards the wind, the grandfather Ik Balam.
Le damos también a la bienvenida a las abuelas y a los abuelos que viven en la neblina, en las nubes, en el viento y en el frío.
We also welcome the grandfathers and the grandmothers who live in the fog, in the clouds, in the wind, and in the cold.
Con el permiso de nuestro creador y formador y el permiso de la Madre Tierra, voy a dar inicio a encender el sagrado fuego.
With the permission of our creator and maker and the permission of Mother Earth, I'm going to light my fire. And if you have a candle at home, this would also be the time for you to do that, by the way.
De esta manera, el espíritu del sagrado fuego llene los corazones de todas las hermanas y hermanos que están conectados en este sagrado día.
And in this way, may the spirit of the sacred fire hold the hearts and the spirits of all of the brothers and sisters who have connected here with us today in this sacred day.
Desde el lugar donde nos están escuchando, nos están viendo, que lleguen las energías de nuestro creador y formador a eliminar toda aquella debilidad física, aquella debilidad espiritual, si hay alguna enfermedad física o una enfermedad espiritual.
And may all of you, wherever it is you're tuning in from in the world, may you be touched by the fire, and may the energy of the fire and the creator and maker eliminate any physical weakness that you may have, any spiritual weakness that you may have, any emotional weakness that you may have. If there is illness, may that illness be healed, and that any issues or problems or weaknesses may be eliminated with the energy of this day.
Las palabras que nuestras abuelas y abuelos dejaron escritos en nuestro libro sagrado, el Popol Vuh, dice: pedimos caminos rectos, caminos verdes.
The words that our ancestors left written in the sacred book of the Popol Vuh go like this: we ask for straight paths, for green paths,
para que no hayan tropiezos ni fracasos,
so that there's no obstacles or failures.
de esta manera, las abuelas y los abuelos también nos dejaron dicho que no los olvidemos, y también nos lo relata nuestro libro, el Popol Vuh.
And another thing that was written in the sacred book of the Popol Vuh were other words of our ancestors, and the words that they left us was the reminder to never forget them.
Ellos nos dijeron: oh hijos nuestros,
They said, "Oh, our children,
nosotros nos vamos,
we are
nosotros
leaving. We are coming back.
sanas recomendaciones y sabios consejos les dejamos.
But wise recommendations and wise advice we're going to leave you with.
No nos olviden ni nos borren de su memoria.
Do not forget us, nor delete us from your memory.
Y así verán de nuevo el lugar de donde vinimos.
And in that way, you're going to be able to see again the place that you came from.
Por eso es que honramos el nombre de nuestras abuelas y nuestros abuelos. Somos la raíz de nuestras abuelas y nuestros abuelos. Cuando vino la destrucción, quisieron destruirnos, pero no lo lograron, porque nosotros somos la raíz de nuestros abuelos que hemos retoñado.
And that's why we always make sure to remember our grandmothers, our grandfathers, and our ancestors. When the invasion came, they tried to destroy us, but they couldn't do it because we are the roots of our ancestors.
En ese entonces arrancaron los frutos,
The invasion tried to cut down the trunk of the tree.
cortaron sus ramas,
They tried to cut down the branch. They cut down the branches of the tree.
quemaron sus troncos,
They burned the trunk of the tree,
pero no mataron sus raíces.
but they could never get rid of the roots.
Y nosotros somos las raíces de nuestras abuelas y nuestros abuelos.
And we are the roots of our ancestors.
Reciban un cordial saludo en nombre de las abuelas y nuestros abuelos mayas, chincas, garífonas, cachiqueles, tutupiles y todas las ciudades que acá componemos como pueblos mayas originarios desde el territorio de Abyayala.
So we want to send you a warm greeting from all of our Maya ancestors, as well as all of the different nations that reside in this country, from as well including mentioning the Xincas and the Garífunas, as well as the Maya Cachiqueles, Maya Sutujiles, and all of the different Maya nations that reside in this country that is Guatemala.
Con esto agradecemos entonces al Sagrado Fuego, las invocaciones a los sagrados cerros, al gran volcán Hunahpu, al Ajavitz, volcán de fuego, y a Catenango, y a todos los sagrados volcanes que cohabitan nuestra madre tierra.
And now we also greet and invoke the energy of all of the sacred hills and all of the sacred volcanoes that are around us, including the great volcano of Punahpu, Hakavitz, and Acatenango, as well as all of the sacred volcanoes in this Mother Earth.
Sí, está bien. Te lo dije, te lo dije, ¿sí? Porque me voy a llamar a las energías. Bien. Sí, sí. De esta manera, entonces, abuelas y abuelos, hacemos la invitación a todos los abuelos, a los 20 nahuales, a las 260 energías. Llamamos a la abuela y al abuelo, al nahualo al ahau ish, ahau tzkin, ahau ahmak, ahau nof, ahau tihash, ahau kabok, ahau akpu, ahau imosh, ahau ia, ahau akabal, ahau kat, ahau kan, ahau kame, ahau ke, ahau anis, ahau toch, ahau ti, ahau bas. Hemos invocado a los 20 nahuales.
In this way, we call upon the energy and invoke the energy of all of the grandmothers and the grandfathers, of the 20 Nahuales and the 260 sacred energies of the Cholquij. And we call upon the energy of it. Ish, Sikin, Ahmak, Nog, Tihash, Kawok, Ahpu, Imosh, Ika, Kabal, Kat, Kan, Kemek, Kiech, Toch, Tzi, and Bats. And in that way, we call the energy of the 20 Nahuales.
De esta manera es como celebramos y le damos la bienvenida al equinoccio, en donde nos marca este día que es igual día, igual noche.
And it is in this way that we celebrate and welcome the arrival of the equinox, the very special day where the night and the day are equally long.
Es lo que las abuelas y los abuelos vivieron trabajando por miles de años. Estudiaron lo que es el cosmos, astrología, y por eso que nuestro legado es acá en este día. Gracias al creador y formador por estar aquí presentes ante el Nahual del día celebrando un día más el caminar de nuestra madre tierra, el caminar de la galaxia, el caminar también de nuestro padre sol y el caminar de nuestra abuela luna. Gracias al sagrado equinoccio de este sagrado día.
For thousands of years, our ancestors studied the cosmos, they studied astronomy, and we thank them for the wisdom that they shared with us. We also thank our creator and maker for being present during the sacred fire today, in the sacred day of the equinox. And in that way, we also honor and remember the path, because air represents the path that our grandfather sun walks, the path that our mother earth walks, the path that our grandmother moon walks.
De esta manera agradecemos a los hermanos, a las hermanas que están conectados. Gracias por su atención. Gracias por escucharnos y ver cómo desde los pueblos originarios vivimos el sagrado fuego, celebrando el sagrado equinoccio. Que tengan ustedes muy buen día. Que nuestro Creador y la Madre Tierra bendiga ese tiempo sagrado que han dedicado a escuchar el conversatorio sobre lo que es el día equinoccio.
And we also want to thank all of the people as well who decided to join us from all over the world today to celebrate this sacred day of the equinox. I want to thank you for the time, for listening, and for listening to everything and the conversation that I wanted to have with you about the equinox, as well as for opening up your heart for the fire and the practice that we're doing today and that we did today.
Bye.
Well, that I don't have to translate. Gracias, Mateo. Camó, más bien dicho.
Camón, caído encima. Gracias, 2, 3 veces.
He says, thank you 1, 2, and 3 times. So, as you can see, Tata Alberto will stay there with my niece Eline, and they're going to see the fire through, continue to do invocations. And as we do that, we wanted to just share with you a little bit more about the equinox, share with you practices that you can do, what you can focus on as he is doing his invocation and connecting with the fire in his own language, which I can't translate. His language, by the way, you heard him speak it a little bit, is Cachiquel. I'm going to write that down because it's a difficult word. Okay, Cachiquel. There you go. In the chat, I just wrote it down. And it's such an honor to be able to, of course, sit in front of the sacred fire during the equinox, because as Tata Alberto mentioned, this is literally the most ancient practice of the Maya tradition. It is recorded as being the most ancient practice that the Maya ever did, which dates back thousands of years. And for thousands of years, Mayan fire ceremonies have been done in the exact same way every single time for literally thousands of years. The same order of invoking, the same order of placing the materials in the fire. By the materials, I refer to the offerings that are brought, the candles, the incense, the herbs, the different things, cacao, all kinds of different things that are placed as offerings in the fire. As you can see today, we did a very small fire because there were so many different things that we wanted to share with you during the equinox. But now the presence of the fire is here with us and is going to continue to be here with us. So if you lit a fire at home, continue to nurture that energy, continue to connect with that energy. And today we wanted to do something that we actually have never done before during a live event, but we, as you can see, there's 600 people here right now. So of course, we can't have like a one-on-one conversation with every single one of you guys, because obviously that would take, I don't know, days probably. But something that is so special during fire ceremonies and during these kinds of practices is that actually is usually just a very small group of people who sits around the fire and who gets to actually chit chat afterwards and share how they felt. So we thought we can't invite every single one of you one by one to share how you feel today, to share how you're connecting to the equinox, to share how you're connecting to the fire, but we can invite at least 1, 2, or 3 people to do that, because that we actually not shy and you'd like to share, I can give you 1, 2, 3 minutes of a space just for you to share, because we thought how cool, there's people from all around the world here. There's people who are celebrating the equinox in different ways, and how awesome would it be for those people to share a few words. So if you would like to share, just raise your hand or let me know, and I'll give you the word. Let me handle this in a good way. Okay, I actually see a hand raised. So I'm going to give the word to you, Thomas Spatze. The technical person is going to allow you to unmute yourself right now, and then we're just going to put you on screen for a second. There's Thomas. Hi, Thomas. Nice to see you. I love Thomas. I've seen him around many times, so that's why I picked him. So, hi, Thomas.
Hello, thank you, Solveig, for inviting me to share. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Can you give me a
Yes,
thumbs
I
up?
can hear you perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I just wanted to share that this is really a very special day, and I'm really, really happy that Tata Alberto took the time to light the fire and send his greetings out to us. It's really something very, very special. I had the great fortune of like seeing him and speaking to him live in Guatemala, and it's really amazing what this man can do. What I want to share is that I've been around the Mayan Wisdom Project for quite some time, and I've also been participating in the journey. And I can warmly recommend that if you want to dive into the Mayan wisdom. If you can just spare a little bit of time, do the cacao challenge. It's really a great, great introduction to the Mayan calendar and to the different energies. It's really a game changer. It's really something that, yeah, really transformed my life. And if you can dedicate more time to it, or if you want to really dive deep, the journey is the place to, yeah, like really study the Mayan wisdom and also integrate that into your life. And I must stress on here that it's not something that you do like a course and you just do that like for a few weeks and then it's over and you do not use that knowledge anymore. It's really a way of living and it's really something that can change your life permanently. And I highly recommend that you take this course. Thank
Enjoying that, and thank you for sharing. I know Thomas, I know him personally, and I know he's sharing from Germany right now. So it's cool to have people from so many different places. I'm going to give the word to Evelyn M. And right now, Martin's gonna let you unmute yourself in 1 second. You should get a pop-up message.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, perfect. Hi, Evelyn.
Awesome. Hi. I just wanted to echo a little bit of what Thomas said and just thank you so much to all of our ancestors who have guarded. Hold on, I think I'm already gonna cry. To all of our ancestors who have guarded this wisdom for generations, sometimes at the peril of their own lives. And thank you so much to you and your family for sharing this wisdom with us now at the project. I just wanted to share that for me, this one wisdom that you've given us, the Chumila, has been almost like a love letter from our ancestors to us, a way to get to know them, a way to, like Thomas said, integrate balance into our lives because we all know it's so important to have balance, but actually doing it can feel so impossible sometimes. But the Chumila have like given the Cholki calendar, being the human level calendar, has really given me a way, a path of like actually integrating that into who I am in a way that's more personal and like less described. I think, is that my time?
You have a little bit more time if you want to keep going, but if you're done, that's okay too. Up to you.
Um, and I'll just like I like to compare the Chumila to the metate because it does it sort of um helps you to refine yourself, like because life keeps coming, challenges keep happening, no matter what spiritual wisdom that you adopt. Hard things are still going to happen, but Maya wisdom has really helped to handle the resistance to that in a much kinder and gentler way. Um, and it's just been so life-changing. Thank you so much. I'll pass the baton.
Thank you, Evelyn. Those were beautiful words from Evelyn. And wait, where are you joining us from? Just curious. Oh, you're muted. Sorry, can you? There you go.
Okay, sorry. Um, I live in Seattle, Washington currently, but I grew up in Los Angeles and I'm originally from El Salvador.
Oh, nice. So we're neighbors.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Evelyn. That was a beautiful way of saying everything that you said. And yeah, it's such a powerful tool, the Tulkis, the Chumila. I also got a message here from Rick. I don't know if you would like to share. Rick Williams. Let me see.
Can you hear me okay? See
Yes,
me?
I can hear you okay.
Well, I am coming from beautiful Southern California in San Diego, and
Oh,
that right No, I'm afraid I'm suffering from monkey mind, where my brain is jumping all over the place. I tried to take a few notes to kind of make it halfway coherent. But what I love about the fire ceremony, first of all, is that it gets us outside. We're now with Mother Nature. And then the greatest teaching I think I have got from the Mayans is just simply gratitude, to be thankful for this miracle, this incredible miracle of just being alive. And what an opportunity we have to grow and to experiment and to experience. But our ego sometimes, or my ego, gets out of control and it wants more, 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 faster, faster, faster. It's never enough. And for the fire ceremony, if you can't do a fire ceremony, well, then at least kiss the ground, hug a tree, talk to a dead ancestor. That one of the Mayan teachings is that we're passing on generational patterns. And if you can be aware of those patterns, the healthy ones, obviously, you want to continue, but the unhealthy ones, maybe it can stop with you if you become aware and take the action. I think for most of my life, I'm sorry to say I have probably felt lost. I know there's a book that has the title Modern Man in Search of His Soul, and that's how I have felt. But and then you put on the super fast digital age, it's just left me in a cloud of dust. But the indigenous Mayan wisdom, I think, has helped ground me. It's given me a foundation to basically discover who I am, the different energies I find fascinating. I've learned not only about my own personal energy, but all the energies. And the Mayans, I've never heard this before, say that we actually have more than our five regular senses. We have a bunch of senses. And a lot of them, if you can tap into them, it kind of falls under intuition or even kind of like psychic abilities. And I swear, when I can get into that state of feeling my interconnectedness with everything, I I can actually feel something when I just go in. I mean, these energies are invisible, and I can feel something as real right here as I can when I touch my body or the table or the computer. There's something out there, and it's so important to try to connect with it and to improve our intuition. I I guess the final thing I want to say is that, good grief, it's springtime. Come on. If you can't get excited about new growth and and your own inner growth right now, that the Mayans are big. I know Solveig will constantly give examples about action. Now is the time. Yes, it's now time for us to go from darkness to light. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. That was beautifully said. Thank you. So unfortunately, that's the time for inviting guests. And I see a lot of people are raising their hand, and I would love to give you all the word, but I see like more like 10 people more, and then, the call would be over before we can finish. So I'd love to hear your thoughts though, guys. And if you want to share them like in the Mayan Wisdom community and everything, I will definitely be reading you there. Or if you want to type something in the chat. And for everybody, if the fire ceremony, if you think that this is a good way, this ancient way is something that you can feel connected to, and you find it a beautiful way to connect to the equinox, you can also just let me know in the chat. You can just type yes, I feel that, or whatever you're called to chat, and I do read the chat after the call, because I can't read it during the call, obviously, but I always read all of you guys' comments, and actually I was having a blast yesterday and reading the chat after the call, so I'll do that today too. And Thank you to everybody who was brave enough to come and share in front of people. So now I'm just going to take a short moment to share a couple of different things. I'll just take 2 minutes to explain a thing which is very sacred, which is Xibalbá, and then I'll explain you a profound Mayan concept before we start closing it up as well. So for the Maya, as I said, right now we're entering a new cycle and time during this year that is brought today by the equinox. And that cycle is, as Tata Alberto said it, today the day is going to be equal than the night. So the amount of light is going to be equal to the amount of time that the darkness is going to be around. And to balance ourselves is really sacred in the Maya tradition. And if we can leave you with anything today, maybe that's the main thing that we have to practice during the equinox, but not only during the equinox, during the next 90 days. That's like the mission or the focus of the next 90 days is how to stand in balance between our light and our darkness. The Mayans have this beautiful concept, which is the concept of Xibalbá. And everybody who knows me knows I could probably talk about this for hours, but I will not do that. It's really hard to summarize it or explain it in short, you know? But basically, to put it in very, very, very simple words, Xibalbá is just basically the duality, right? So Xibalbá represents the darkness, is the darkness and the duality between the light and the darkness. The Maya say that we're affected by three different areas or planes or dimensions of existence. And those are called the upper world, the world, and the underworld. As human beings, we stand in the world, meaning we stand in the center between the upper world and the underworld. Xibalbá is the underworld. The upper world is represented by the light, by the day, by the sun, by, everything that's represented by the light and the day. Xibalbá is represented by the silence, by the darkness. And oftentimes in the Maya tradition, people, when they hear about Xibalbá for the first time, think it's maybe like something scary or something bad or something negative, but really it's not. Xibalbá is kind of the concept, and we have in the Popol books the story of the hero twins, Hunahpu Xbalamque, or different characters who had to go down to Xibalbá to face the darkness and overcome the trials of the darkness. And in that same way that they did that, all of us sometimes have to go through those trials. All of us have to sometimes face the darkness inside of us or even around us, like all of the difficulties that life gives us, which sometimes, don't lack. They're there, like sometimes we have conflict, sometimes we experience trauma, we experience fear, we experience sadness, we experience all of these different things that are difficult for us to face. But as a great teacher told me once, the only reason you can see the light of the stars at night is because they have a dark background. The only reason the light of the stars is visible and exists and they shine is because of the dark background. And the darker the background, the shinier the stars, the more light you're going to be able to witness and to see. So the Maya believe that sometimes when we're only around the light, like if I light, I never have a lighter with me, but if I would have a lighter with me right now, and I would light that lighter right now, as you can see, I'm surrounded by light. So even though you could see the fire of the lighter, it wouldn't light up the entire room. That light wouldn't shine that bright because I'm already surrounded by light. So the Maya believe that sometimes when you lose your light, it's a little more difficult to find it if you're already surrounded by light. So what they do, or what the universe does or whatever, is it puts you in Xibalbá, in the darkness, in the deep darkness where you're so blind, the only way you're actually going to get out of there is by finding light. But because there is no light available in Xibalbá, the only light that's going to actually save you in Xibalbá is for you to find your own inner light and to light it. Because if I go in a dark room right now and I light a lighter, that small fire of that lighter will actually light up the entire room and allow me to see the path. Today is the day of the path, right? And so that's what the Maya say. And there was this beautiful woman who I super randomly one day hopped on a Zoom call because there were a few people who are participating in the journey, which is a 1 year program that we created. And we, one of the people in our team was like kind of telling them, hey, by the way, inspire yourselves. If you want to organize like a Zoom call between yourselves, do it. And people did organize a Zoom call. Like, I don't know how often they were doing it, like once a month or every 2 months. And one day I just randomly caught it and I hopped in this call, and there was this woman in there who said something that touched me so, so much. She said to me, Sulvay, I've spent the last few decades of my life trying to heal myself, and I've done it all. She said, I've traveled to Peru, I've traveled to Colombia, I've traveled to Brazil, I've done retreats here, I've done retreats there. I've gone through all kinds of different traditions from the Western world to indigenous cultures. I've done every course you can do, every meditation you can do, every practice that you can do. Like, I've done it all. Like, what you can do, I've already done it. And she said, I was so frustrated because no matter how many decades I spent meditating, taking courses, doing practices, doing ceremonies, doing all kinds of things, there I grew a lot and I learned a lot. And I, of course, healed a lot of the different parts of me, but I could not get rid of this deep sadness that is inside of me. And she said, then I came to the Maya tradition and I heard about the concept of Shivalva for the first time ever, about embracing the darkness, kneeling, leaning into the darkness, witnessing the darkness. And Shivalva teaches us really beautiful lessons. And she said, that changed my life because I finally understood that maybe I've been doing it wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be in this crazy race to try to get rid of my sadness. Maybe I don't have to get rid of my sadness. She said, for the first time ever, I was able to sit down and say to myself, with the life experiences I've had, of course I'm sad. How would I not be sad? What happened to me was sad, you know? She was like, why am I trying to beat my sadness up and tell it that it's bad and tell it that it should leave me and that I have to get rid of it and I have to release it? Remove yourself sadness. She said, for the first time ever, instead of trying to get rid of it, I said, hey, sadness, maybe you're going to be here for some more time now, but I'm not going to try to get rid of you anymore. And I actually was able to hug my sadness. And lo and behold, of course, that actually was the thing that was able to help me start to heal it, to have a good relationship with it, and to not be any longer a negative thing in my life. It didn't rule me anymore. And she said, so this concept of Shivalva was really profound for me. And I love that because oftentimes we're either throwing things under the rug or in this crazy race, thinking that we have to get rid of the parts of us that are bad or that are negative. But Shivalva teaches us that the negative or the dark or the things that we experience because of what we've gone through are actually not all that bad after all. They seem like this big monster that is haunting us, but really is just us as a little kid kind of being all beaten up. Like, I don't feel great because I've gone through all this stuff. And instead of saying like, hey, I need to get rid of you because you're bad, maybe we give it a hug instead. And that's what Shivalva teaches us. That's what it means to stand between the light and the darkness. You don't have to only spend time in the darkness and only doing work where you always face yourself 24/7 and everything. But also the other opposite is also too extreme as well. Never facing the darkness, forgetting about it. Everything is happy, everything is light. Don't even think about that. That's also the other extreme. The Maya teaches that we all have light and darkness, and that's normal, just like nature has it. But instead of trying to go to one extreme or the other, we stand in the center between the two and acknowledge the two and are able to be okay with the two. And that's what the equinox is all about. And so that's kind of just a little bit of what I wanted to share with you, because that's actually a great thing for us to focus on over the next 90 days, the balance between the light and the darkness, the center between the light and the darkness. And now I want to present to you guys, wait, what do I want to present? I want to talk a little bit about a Maya concept, and actually Tata Alberto himself has given me such incredible information about this that I'm going to share with you right now. I'm going to share a slide with you right now just for you to be able to visualize it a little bit better. There it is. It's the concept of the spirals. So in the Maya tradition, something that is believed in is that things are not linear, things are spiral. Everything from the universe to time to every single thing in existence is considered to be a spiral, right? And this is a very sacred concept. Not only is it a spiral, it's a counterclockwise spiral, actually, like the movement of everything that's sacred in this universe. And so basically, we find all of these different examples in nature from, like we put some photos here, like a seashell, right? In the Maya tradition, the name of the universe is Hunrakan Kakulha, the entire universe. Everything that exists inside of Hunrakan Kakulha. Hun means one, Ra means foot or leg, Kan means snake, and Kakulha means ray. So it's the ray of the 1 foot snake. And what this means basically is the Maya, since ancient times, believed that the shape of the universe was a snake-like spiral, and everything that exists within that snake-like spiral. So from the most macro to the most micro, everything is a spiral, in the sense that if you take a look at it, put a photo of the galaxy here, it's also a snake-like spiral. Look at things in nature, such as seashells, are a snake-like spiral. And even the very micro things that we find, like the DNA, our own DNA is also a snake-like spiral. So the Maya believe that everything from space to time to everything is a snake-like spiral, which is why snakes are so sacred in the Maya tradition, by the way. And actually, if you look at snakes, that they do that. Whenever they want to defend themselves, they curl themselves up in a counterclockwise way that gives them strength. The earth also rotates counterclockwise. So for the Maya, this counterclockwise circular or spiral movement is connected to healing, cleansing ourselves, and all kinds of things. And for that reason, the Maya also believe that in life, we also learn not in a linear way, but we learn in a spiral way. So I put like a little chart here to compare like the linear mindset versus the Maya spiral mindset. The linear mindset, which yesterday we talked a little bit about, like the modern Western world and the way of thinking that this modernity has brought us, which is like we think that we go from point A to point B, and that's what healing looks like, that's what growth looks like, that's what progress looks like, that's what everything looks like. It's like a line, like I have to go from point A to point B to point C. It forces you to go on a straight path. It seeks a one-time fix, and it gets us oftentimes surface level results, this linear mindset. In the Maya tradition, it's actually very different how the Maya believe that we can practice healing, how we can create progress, how we can heal ourselves, become a better version of ourselves, achieve the things that we want to achieve, the goals, the healing, the mental health, all kinds of things. And it's in the spiral mindset. Firstly, the reason the Maya believe that is because it aligns, the spiral actually aligns with the spiral flow of life. As I mentioned, we see it all over nature. Is the movement of the earth, is the movement of the snakes. If you look at the beans, as in the ancient system of plantation of corn that is used in Mesoamerica, the corn stalk is grown not as a monoculture, obviously, but it's actually grown in a symbiotic relationship with many other crops. And amongst those crops are beans. And the beans always grow around the corn. And the beans always grow in a spiral counterclockwise way around the corn, right? So all over nature, we see this movement. And so the Maya thought, if this is how nature behaves, if this is how nature moves, then this is also the flow that we should follow in our own life. And so what's the thing about the spiral is it goes deeper with each layer. It creates sustainable transformation. It's kind of like, you can stop sharing now. It's kind of like, I don't know who here has ever, for example, like learned a language in their life before, like a second language. But as I'm learning a new language, sometimes you go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4. And then you're in level 4, but you realize that you don't have the basics so well yet. And so going back to level 1 for like a few days just to practice the basics makes you improve at level 4. So in a way, my dad always explained me that's how the Maya predicted the future, because that's how they measure time. So the spiral is a key to how good the Maya were at measuring time, but also the spiral is the way as well in which we can actually grow and learn and become better versions of ourselves. Because how many times have you thought that you actually already figured something out. And then you go through another cycle of your life where you actually kind of forget that thing that you thought you already figured out. And then you remember that thing again and you're like, oh my God, I thought I already knew that, but I had actually kind of forgotten to practice that in my life. But the second time you understand it better. You know what I mean? It's like the first time you understood it, but the second time you understand it, you're like, wait, now I understand it from an even deeper perspective. So that's what my dad always told me is like you come to the same point in different points of time, but it's the same point in the line of the spiral. But as you're going through it, you're getting it better and better and better. So it's like he always told me in the Maya tradition, it's like you do the same few practices, but again and again for the rest of your life. And over the years, you come back to the same thing again and again, but every time you understand it deeper, every time you understand it better, every time you see it from a completely new perspective and you kind of thought you figured it out. And then a few years later, it's like you're like, oh, I thought I already understood that, but now I understand it. Like now, epiphany, mind blown. Like now I actually get it, because now I understood it from a much deeper way, or I experienced it in a much deeper way. And so, yeah, sorry, I will actually finish this, but the technical guy shared it a little too early. But actually, I will finish this information about the spiral by actually quoting the teacher who joined us today, Tata Alberto. It is literally his words. We learn in a spiral and we heal in a spiral. And that's like something that is just a general thing that everybody in the Maya tradition knows. And I thought since we're entering this new time of the equinox and we're trying to find balance and we're trying to learn both from the light, we're trying to also learn from the darkness, we're trying to grow, we're trying to enter this new cycle. May we remember in the cycle that there is no such thing as a straight line, but that we actually can go through life and repeat the lessons and learn in the spiral. So I thought it would be a good way to close up today by kind of like sharing a little bit of information with you guys on this topic of the spiral. And that's what we have to share with you for today. And I really hope that you guys were able to truly enjoy today and that you're able to receive the equinox in such a good way. Remember, today is such a sacred and special day. Find that balance between the light and the darkness, find that center. Balance is everything in life. I feel like most ancient cultures figured that out, right? Like extremes are usually never good, right? There is no extreme that is usually good, but we actually can find way more healing, way more truth, way more balance by being in the center between all of the things. So our call to action is in the next 90 days, try to find equilibrium, try to find balance. And now that's the actual practices for today. But I just wanted to take an opportunity to share something else with you. So that's optional for those of you who want to stay and listen. I'll just invite you to stay and listen if you feel like it, because we have done so many different activities and we have done so many different practices, so many different events, live events, from ceremonies to the 20-day cacao challenge that Thomas was mentioning early. Now the Equinox challenge, we've celebrated so many solstices, equinoxes, Mayan New Year's, all kinds of things. And the exact same thing always happens every single time we do a kind of event like this. So this time we decided to foresee it so that our poor customer service does not collapse because it's just two ladies there answering all your emails. And so we decided to actually foresee it since there's a lot of people here today, because oftentimes once people get to experience, all of these experiences and start to learn like this introduction to Maya wisdom, or get to witness things like this super small fire ceremony that we saw today with Tata Alberto, or the little invocations. Who told me this the other day? I was in Caminal Cuyu doing a ceremony literally like a week ago, maybe, or 10 days ago, or something like that. And I met a spiritual leader there. And he introduced himself to me, and I introduced myself to him. And something that often happens to me, but I'm really proud of that, is every time I tell anybody here who my dad is, they're always like, whoa, your dad is Carlos Barrios. He was like, I love his book, everything. So he was like, I can't believe it. He was like this 88-year-old Arquij that I met in Caminalcuyu, which is a Mayan altar in Guatemala City. And he was like, I can't believe your dad is Carlos Barrios. So then we talked for like an hour or something. And he told me, well, you get it. He was like, the Maya cosmovision is so deep and so profound. And so I asked him, how did you start? Like, why did you become an Arquij? And he was like, because once you open that door to the Maya cosmovision, you get hooked, And he was like, you probably know it better than anybody. You just can't, it's so mind blowing. It's so profound. It's so deep. You just want to like know more and more and more. And in the words of my cousin Yamanik, Mayan wisdom is so deep. It's like the ocean. You can keep on swimming, keep on swimming, keep on swimming, and you discover more and more and more things. And you think you kind of got it. And then you look up and you realize, oh, I'm still at the surface. I'm just at the entrance. Like I can still see the beach, I just got started. It's so deep. Like I've been doing this my whole life since I'm a baby, and I feel like I'm a beginner, Like I just grew up surrounded by it, and I feel like I only know the super basics of it. So 30 years is not enough, 40 years is not enough, 50 years is not enough. My dad always said, I'm going to die learning and I'll still be at an introductory level to Maya wisdom and the Maya cosmovision. And because we know that, oftentimes when we do these kinds of events, our customer service team receives hundreds of emails later saying, what do I do next? Where can I go next? What classes do you have? And then they have to like just answer people for hours and hours. So I told them, you know what, guys, this time we're actually going to foresee this for the first time ever. And we're actually going to share it with people if you want to keep going and keep learning what you can do next. I already told you a little bit yesterday of why we started the Mayan Wisdom Project with my dad, because obviously we're very passionate about it. My dad was a Mayan elder. It really changed my life, but also in the modern world of today, fortunately and unfortunately, because duality, right? I feel like a lot of these wisdoms of the originary traditions have become really trendy. And that is a double-edged sword, you know what I mean? Because it's good. And I've talked to so many spiritual leaders who say, like, okay, finally, right? The people of the Western world are starting to finally be like, okay, maybe it's important to be balanced. Maybe it's important to respect Mother Earth. Maybe it's important to, and that is a super good, positive, healthy thing, is what so many teachers of the Maya tradition have told me. Like, yeah, finally, people are starting to be like that. And that's going to help the world if people actually live in that way. But the double-edged sword comes because I live in Guatemala. And part of the reason we got inspired to start the Mayan Wisdom Project with my dad was because we started to see all these people come to Guatemala, like from all these different countries. And this like crazy thing started to happen here, from like people started to sell the Arquij title for thousands of dollars, and you can become an Arquij in 2 weeks. An Arquij becomes an Arquij in 20 years, and you have to receive permission and you have to study with your teacher for a while. It's super severe and serious because an Arquij is kind of like a doctor and a psychologist and a healer all in one. You wouldn't want to have surgery, is always my example, with a guy who just got certified for, I took a 2 week training on how to give surgery. You would never go to a doctor that tells you that. You'd be like, okay, you're not giving me surgery. I want a real doctor. You know what I mean? Or you wouldn't want to go to a therapist who's like, yeah, I feel like I could be a good psychologist. So I just started calling myself psychologist, and now tell me all your traumas. I'm going to heal you. And how did I learn? I took a 1 week class on how to be a therapist. You probably wouldn't want to put your mental health on that person's hands, right? And so that's the thing for the Maya: becoming a healer, a herbalist, a Maya spiritual leader, a bone doctor, a midwife is not like any different from in the Western world. Doctors study for 7-10 years, right? In the Maya tradition is even more extreme. They're 8 years, 13 years, 20-year cycles of learning for spiritual leaders, for healers. They take it very seriously because you can't just put people's mental health or their physical health in your hands if you don't actually know what you're doing, right? So that's what has become a little dangerous. So we thought, if you can't fight them, join them, but in a different way, not like do the same thing that they're doing. But we thought if everybody's going to study this anyway, how about we actually try to deliver the correct information in a way that is safe so that people don't get hurt and so that spiritual leaders here can actually benefit and be the ones to actually decide what wisdom it is that they want to share with the world, what not, what they don't want to share with the world, and it's in their hands to decide how to actually do things and how this is going to be shared. So that was the inspiration to start the Mind Wisdom Project. And okay, now enough introduction. So basically, we just decided to create a super special offer for you guys today. And this might be the most special offer that we ever created, but I'm really motivated right now because the equinox is a time that I've been waiting for so long because I also went through winter just like everybody else here. And I just couldn't wait for the energy of the light to be more present. And so we were really inspired thinking this might be a really great time of the year as we're starting this cycle to start doing like some of these Mayan practices to work on yourself. Um, and this is my dad in the photo there, Tata Carlos. That's my dad. And he's no longer with us, but I put him there because I was just telling you this is the story of how we started the Mind Wisdom Project, but also everything that we do here is my way of honoring his legacy. And I took inspiration from him, but also a lot of the things that we created, we actually created them with him. So every single program that we have available, for example, the Journey, which is our 1 year program, was kind of like his creation. We sat there for weeks in the garden, in that garden actually where that photo is from, exactly right there next to that fountain. And he and I just sat there for weeks trying to think like if we would have to actually deliver this information to people, what would be the format, what would be the best way. And so he helped me to come up with so many of the things. Next to him is Elsa. She's our cacao expert. We didn't actually put a photo of Hector, her husband, but Elsa she's the boss, she's the boss of this collective of women in Alta Verapaz in the Kikchi Nation. They work with like 10 different women in different families, and they produce cacao together. And we know that everybody loves cacao, so we wanted to invite to our team people who actually can speak to the true and original and authentic ways in which cacao was used in the Maya tradition. So this is one of the teachers here at the Mind Wisdom Project. Then, well, Tata Alberto, I don't think I have to introduce him anymore because I just did and you guys just met him. So now you know his incredible story. He's an Aki for so many decades, and he works with specifically how can you harness the power of your own mind to become the creator of your personal reality. And then Raquel, oh my gosh, I owe her so much because she's one of the people who has helped me the most in my life. She's a healer and a herbalist. She specializes in herbal medicine. So we thought between my dad's wisdom, Tata Alberto's wisdom, who's the general wisdom of the Maya Cosmovision as their Aki, and then cacao, of course, we had to have people who can speak to cacao because we know everybody's obsessed with cacao nowadays, but also just general medicine, herbalism. We created this beautiful team to put together this incredible program, which is the Journey. So it's just a special offer that we created for you guys today. Is the Journey. This is always available all year round, but what we did is we gave you like the best discount that we've ever created for the Journey ever. And I'm actually going to present it to you in a few moments. But the Journey is basically just a 1 year program. It's online. We spent literally years creating this program. A lot of time and work went into it. And it's a program that is filled with practical exercises and video courses created by Maya spiritual leaders and Maya healers and Maya experts in different areas of the Maya tradition, who share with you everything that you need to do in a 1 year period in order not only to get this incredible introduction to the Maya Cosmovision and actually love, like fall in love with it, as I said, because it's like so deep, but also it's really practical and it's about how to actually heal yourself and actually work on yourself through those practices of the Maya Cosmovision, which, as I said, is what changed my life. So next. Okay, and don't get scared by the price there because I'm actually going to give you the information of how this actually changed. So what the journey includes is the 1 year of super deep lessons and practices. And I wrote the word spiral there because it's built now so that we can learn in the spiral way and not in the linear way that I was explaining before. So it's 1 year of everything from video courses to practices to meditations to you don't even know so much stuff. I'll share with you in a bit. Next. Thank you. The poor technical guy is stressed about the slides, right? But we also decided recently to start throwing in as well for this offer some bonuses as well. And so we know that everybody's in love with cacao because I get it. I am literally drinking it right now, actually. That's what I was drinking throughout this whole session. So we have the cacao healing course, which is guided by Elsa, Hector, and a group of Maya Kekchi cacao producers from Lanquin who are experts in ancient agriculture, as well as just all of the practices with cacao. And this is included completely for free, even though as you can see on the screen, usually the price of that is the one you see on the screen right now. Next. All right, and in addition to the 1 year of lessons and the cacao healing course, we also decided to throw in the herbal healing course, which, as I mentioned, is with Raquel for those of you who are into herbalism and how to heal with herbs, which is my latest obsession since I met Raquel, because I was able to actually um, heal my anxiety through a specific herbal blend that Raquel gave me. And then I started to give the same blend to literally everybody in my life who has anxiety. And I think a lot of people in the modern world have anxiety. And after like 4 or 5 people were like, what the heck? What did you give me? Like, I've been trying to work on my anxiety for years. Like, how can some tea actually take it away? I was like, okay, who is this woman and what kind of sorcery is this? So now my latest obsession is studying herbs with Raquel. And so we created a course where she teaches all about herbalism and how to heal your body through herbs. So the journey now includes the 1 year of content of spiral lessons and practices, the cacao healing course and the herbal healing course. And next, it's also lifetime access, which is something new. In the past, you were only able to have access to it for a year, and because it's a 1 year program, and then we gave you a little extra time if you wanted to go back to the old lessons. But now we want to give you access forever because Elena, my niece, and I are meeting with the spiritual leaders for the rest of the year, this year 2025, to actually continue to add more and more content to the journey. So we wanted everybody to see the live updates that we're going to continue to make to it for the rest of times, and also lifetime support, right? And so we have an amazing team who's able to answer any of the questions. If you all you have to do is write them an email at info@mindwisdomproject.com. So if you're part of the journey, you have like unlimited access to them. So we said that's priceless because you can't really put a price on lifetime access and support. So it includes the 1 year of lessons, the cacao healing course, the herbal healing course, and the lifetime access. So this is the value, as you see on screen, that it would usually have, but that's the cool news. And it gets even better than this in a second. The course, the 1 year long journey in the past used to be priced at $1,997. How come? Well, it was 1 year and it was really worth that because you have no idea how much work actually went into it. But also because at the time, which was 1 full year at which we were charging this price for it in the past, the journey, we were also creating it. And we wanted, as you know, we really want to have a really positive impact. My dream for me is to have a really positive impact in my country. So we wanted that with the funds that we're getting from the students who are participating in this, that we can actually change the lives of the teachers, the herbalists, the spiritual leaders, the cacao producers, the healers, and everybody who participated and shared their wisdom into creating this journey. We wanted to be able to actually have a massive impact in their lives. And so that money went to be able to actually not only funding the filmmaking and paying the filmmakers and like actually being able to record the courses, but it went to those teachers so that they really get back financial value from sharing their wisdom. And so that is actually the reason that course was made that way. But now that we finished creating it, we actually switched the price to $497 to actually make it affordable for people. And that's the normal price usually. But next slide. This is the Equinox offer. We're going to give you guys a 30% discount until this Sunday for the Equinox. So instead of $497, it's going to be $347. That is literally less than $1 per day. And so we thought if people can afford to buy, I don't know, coffee for $1 a day, and honestly, coffee I feel like is probably more expensive than $1 a day, regardless of where you're at, then they can afford to get access to this 1 year program, for less than $1 a day, and so our dream was always to make it really accessible, but that was not possible for us financially because we're kind of a small organization, so that's why the people who gracefully paid this bigger price were able to actually fund this, and thanks to them now we're actually able to make it really affordable for anybody who wants to join. And today is actually going to be $347, which is a 30% discount until this Sunday of this week. But because it's the Equinox, we just wanted to do something a little extra crazy. So next slide. And also including some cool gifts. So you probably heard Thomas, and thank you, Thomas, for sharing that and recommending it. There's something that we do approximately 2 times a year, which is the 20-day cacao challenge. There's 2 ways to access it: for free or the paid version, where we actually send you cacao and give you access to the recordings. So anybody who joins the journey gets a forever ticket, golden ticket to our famous cacao challenge. Cacao chocolate. I don't know if you saw what we tried to do there with like the Willy Wonka reference, but basically, that's going to give you completely free access to the recordings of the challenge. Is 20 days where we actually meet every day to drink cacao, and we learn about the Cholquij calendar, which is the human level calendar. It's a calendar of 20-day cycles. So every day we go and explain really deep for 1 hour per day for 20 days straight the energy of the day, while we drink a cup of cacao together, including recipes. And so we're going to just throw that in for free. And what's free is the recordings as well, right? So forever, for the rest of times, you can just access the recordings of the cacao challenge for free for as many challenges as we do in the future. Also, this is really cool. In the journey, we have a private community where you can meet all the other students who are doing the journey. And I always love going in there. I don't comment, but I'm reading you guys if you're in the journey. Well, people get to share their experiences, how they're experiencing the different exercises and practices. Sometimes people even go the extra mile, and we have some really cool people who become kind of leaders there by organizing Zoom calls so that everybody who's going through the journey can even meet. And so it's a really cool community of people from all around the world who discusses what they're learning, how they like the courses, how they like the exercises. So it includes everything in the journey, plus the golden ticket to the challenge and the journey private community. And this is the best of all. Everybody's favorite gift is probably going to be this one. For $347, which is the price of the journey, you're also going to get a completely free $50 gift card to the Mayan market. So we actually support indigenous producers all around Guatemala who produce all kinds of things, from cacao to jicaras. I don't know if you guys saw the drinking glass that I'm drinking my cacao from today, but it's completely handmade by a collective of women in Rabinal. We also have like candles, handmade beeswax candles. Raquel's Herbs, Raquel the herbalist, her and her mom also produce the herbal mixes for healing yourself and everything. And so we're just, as soon as you sign up for the journey, we're also going to send you a $50 gift card where you can just spend those $50 in any of our physical products in the store. So it's the journey, the golden ticket, the community, and a $50 gift card, all for $347. And that offer is going to be available until this Sunday. So, and of course, I almost forgot to say this, but we do have a 90-day money back guarantee, because for us, our number one priority with the journey was to make our very best effort to make it as amazing as we possibly can make it. And it's not that that effort is over, even though we have actually worked on the journey for a couple of years already, and we already have the version of the journey that anybody who's currently in the journey knows about. But Elena and I, we meet once a week. We continue to look at the journey. We continue to, you know, you can stop sharing the screen now. Thank you. So we continue to look at the journey, and just this past week alone, surprise, surprise, for everybody who's in the journey, get excited about that. Elena and I already made an entire plan for all of 2025 on a bunch of extra content and bonuses that we're going to add to the journey. A lot of practical stuff, guys, that you can use really, that is super practical for how can you really heal and apply those things. We're going to interview more teachers. We're going to do so many awesome things. So we're ongoingly making it better and better and better. So we just wanted people to know that it's truly like we stand by what we do, and we've been working on for 5 years on making everything as amazing, as authentic, as respectful, as awesome as possible. And so we wanted to also give people the opportunity to see that safely and know that they can get their money back if they don't like it for any reason. But I think you won't want it because you're probably gonna really like the journey, but of course you can have it if you want it. So that's it. That offer is actually available until this Sunday. And Martin from the Mind Wisdom Project, my husband, just posted the link to it on the chat right now, but we're also gonna send it to you via email alongside the recording to today's session as well. So I think our customer service is going to be happy that they don't have to explain this to everybody one by one, to hundreds of people, but we actually decided to just do it live in the call. So thank you guys so much for coming today. Happy Equinox. You have no idea from the heart how happy I am right now that the equinox is here. This is such a great cycle in the Av calendar. The spring equinox is one of the best times of the year. And I'm so happy and so excited to finally receive it. I'm ready to go out to the sun, to have fun, to look at the flowers as they're starting to bloom. And I hope you guys are also going to be doing that today. Remember, equinoxes and solstices are great times to receive the sunlight, to connect to the sunlight. The duality, right? At sunset today, for example, you could go out and witness the sunset because the sunset is the perfect ejemplificación, example, I guess, of the sunset is a perfect example of the balance between the light and the darkness. That specific hour of the day where you don't know, is it still day? Is it already night? Because the perfect dance between the night and the day is happening in that moment. And that is what the equinox this year represents, to stand in that perfect balance between the light and the darkness. So I invite you to do that. Happy spring equinox. Happy fall equinox to everybody in the Southern Hemisphere. Just happy equinox in general. And don't forget to come tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow is going to be super awesome. Tomorrow is going to be very practical. Yesterday we were like more theory-based, theoretical. Can you say that word in English? I'm not sure. Theory. It was more like delivering like just information, right? Like an introduction to the Maya Geocosmovision. Today was a little bit more practical because we had, like, of course, the fire with Tata Alberto. But tomorrow I'm actually going to be sharing 5 Mayan practices with you that are simple to apply into your life. And we're actually going to practice them live here. Practices that I've learned from different teachers, including my dad, that are super life changing. So I really recommend that you guys come. And of course, I'm going to continue learning the little bit of information that I have on the Maya Geocosmovision that I got lucky enough to be passed on by my dad, and also by all of the teachers that collaborate here at the Mind Wisdom Project with us. Thank you for coming today. Greetings and happy equinox, and see you guys tomorrow for the last day of the 3-day Equinox challenge. Everybody knows I almost said cacao challenge. Equinox challenge. See you guys tomorrow. Have an awesome rest of your day. Goodbye. See you.